Hey everyone, and welcome here to my channel. In this tutorial today we're gonna be making this beach cover up that a few people asked me to make in the channel, that they wanted to make a really nice beach cover up for summer. So this is the one we are going to be making. I'm going to be using 5 balls of this yarn here, which is acrylic and cotton. It is more acrylic than cotton, so it goes really well on the machine. I like it anyway. Only a few things that I'm gonna let you know while you are making to try and avoid dropping stitches, okay? But it doesn't drop much and it goes really nice and smooth, I think, in my opinion. And I'm going to also be using these 3 tools here. It's a very easy beach cover up. I'm making a size medium to large, okay? If you want any other size, I'm going to leave the link down on the description below for the pattern that I'm selling on Etsy and Love Crafts, okay? If you guys want to purchase the pattern there, it's going to be available. And you also help my business, and it's just price of a coffee, really. Okay guys, so let's get started with this pattern, and I'll explain on the way how to make it and also how to adjust the sizing for you as well. Now, before you start this beach cover up, just grab a dress that you like the length and then measure the length of it. And then you can measure as you make on the machine after, and I'm gonna let you know how, okay? Or you can compare on the table of this pattern and see which size fits more to the length that you want, okay? I have all sizes with either inches or centimeters, whatever you prefer. So that's what you do. And you can also see the gauge. I have here the other side. You can calculate the gauge for the length this way here. Just right in the middle of the work, it is 10 centimeters. You're gonna count how many V's you have in 10 centimeters. So for this yarn here is around 18, so 1.8 stitches to each centimeter, okay? And I also put the gauge down in the description below for you guys, and as well on the pattern, okay? So you know the gauge. If you are working with any other yarn, this is the length of mine. It's it's around 80 centimeters. It's a little shorter than the dress that I have, but in the pattern I'm going to be making the corrections, okay? All the rest is gonna be the same. So to start this, I'm going to just quickly clamp my machine to the table because it's easier to work. So I just purchased this roll counter and I made it portable to all my knitting machines, and I'm going to be sharing down in the description below how you can do that too, because it's really useful. I have 3 other Sentros and that I share this same digital counter too with all of them. So I'm going to be leaving in the description below. So to start this project, I'm going to be using waste yarn on the beginning for 4 rows. Just put the yarn in and cast on all the stitches, 45 stitches for a size medium large, okay? Now peg 45 is the maximum amount we can use in this machine. If you are using the ADDI 46, gonna be 43, okay? Because you need always 3 empty needles here in the middle. And after that, make sure the yarn's underneath this lip, and then you put into the yarn guide, apply a little bit of tension to start the row, always. Then make 4 rows. I guide the yarn with my fingers only, because it's easier to just pull the yarn. You always need to pull the yarn a little bit on the beginning, okay? As you finish, just drop the yarn in there Make sure the loop's down on the bottom there, and then grab the new yarn. This panel for this tutorial leave a very long tail because we have a lot of seaming to do. And then start the row gently like this, so the first stitch gets made properly. And then also turn on your row counter, I forgot. So reset it. Mine's right here. And then for this size, look on the pattern for your size, but for this, for my size, I'm going to be making 270 rows going for both of the sides, okay? So this is gonna cover the front and the back. And I'm going to be making 2 panels, one for this side and one for this side. All the way there. Pull the yarn a bit on the beginning, always make sure that loops down on the bottom, because normally the panel problems are always on the edges, okay? And then make the row. As you can see, this yarn goes easy on the machine. It's a very light and nice yarn to use for summer projects. And I have been using this yarn for a lot of other projects that I made. You can check on Etsy. I have a few other shirt and top tutorials that are really nice. What I love about this yarn, it has a lot of colors and it's cheap as well. So it's a amigurumi yarn, but it works great on the machines. And as you can see, it stretches, so you know you can wear even if it's a little smaller, and it's not as see-through as the normal cotton yarn. So I really enjoy this yarn for summer. And then just make one more row, guys, and then I'll let you do the rest of it. Okay, so I'll be making 270 rows and then I'll come back with you guys. Okay, so this is my last row here. I just want to say a few things about this yarn. First thing, it's good to stretch it a bit like this sometimes. Or maybe even use the weights or the pen lid. Some people put a pen, the lid of a pen on top. Because the edge stitches, they tend to stay in the middle of the... like it is here in the middle of the needle, so I had to put them down almost every time, okay, just so you know. That's the only thing about this yarn. All the rest, I think it goes, it's a nice yarn to work with overall, other than this edges thing. But it might, if you add the weights, it might reduce this, because it's just pull it and then the edge stitches, they go down. Now, after making these rows, I made 270, as I said. You can just pull the work out of here and just measure if you want. Just measure this way all the way to the other side. Stretch this a bit because it is stretched sideways. And that's a way to measure this. Now I'm going to just cast off these stitches by making one row without the yarn. Leave this yarn attached because we are going to use to bind off the stitches later, okay? So I'm just gonna leave as it is and then remove the stitches just like this. And just remove all of them. Now, after you removed both and made both sides, that's how they look like. And what you do now, our next steps, just placing markers for the arm space, and then we are going to metre stitch one of the sides, not both, okay? I'm gonna show you quickly the space that I left. I left around 27 centimeters or 11 inches for the arm space. Of course, you're gonna measure on yourself and then you can try it on with the marker and see if this is enough for your arms, okay? And then now I'm going to start seaming from here. Add the needle from here to here. And just make a quick knot. If you know the metro stitch, you know my next step, what I'm doing. And then straight into the other side here, just like this. Choose a stitch. You can even get this first one. If you want this wider, it's always better to skip less stitches on the beginning row here to work for, and work right on the edge, okay? And that's how I like to grab it, so it's easier as well. And also, if you don't pull too much, you are able to see the stitch before, and then you know exactly where to put the needle next. Okay, and then pull it after a while, so it's nice and tight, and it's gonna look like this. Now I'm going to seam both sides here, but I'm not seaming all the way down because I want this open for a little bit, just this little bit. If you wanna add a marker here, so you know as well, or if you just wanna, you know, if you just wanna close the whole way, you can too, but I'm going to leave this open because I think it's really nice for a beach cover up to leave the bottom a little open on the side. So that's what I'm doing now. I'll come back with you to make the next step after this. Now I have seamed here, and I have a tip for you guys. Start from the bottom, because then you can, as you can see here, I didn't start, I started from here going here, and that's why it's not perfectly matched, but the other side is, so I started this side. It's a little longer. So I started this side, the seaming from the bottom to the top. It's easier, okay? And another tip for this stitching here is make sure you stretch the stitch, and you're gonna see the yarn runs through and arranges itself. Otherwise, it might be, when I finished mine, was a little, it wasn't stretched enough, so I had to pull it a bit just before you make the last knot for the seaming here, okay? And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab another color, and I'm going to finish the middle here with crochet just to make a better finishing. If you want, if you don't want to add crochet at all, you can, okay? All you're gonna do is just seam the back, these two pieces together here. You can seam all the way until it's almost halfway, only because you need a little space for the neck here, okay? And then just finish it off after, or finish with the crochet only around this piece here, but not the entire piece like I'm doing. The reason I'm going to do this is because I prefer to join this way and not have the joining, this seaming here on the white, because it's gonna show. So I don't know, it's just personal, really personal opinion. Okay guys, so I'm going to make a little crochet. So I'm going to start here in this stitch here, not the last one, just because it's less stretched, and I'll just hide the last one after. And with a slip stitch, slip knot, pull it through, and then make 1, 2, 3 stitches. Then put in there, in that same stitch, and make a knot, make a double crochet, and then chain 1. And here we're going to skip 1, 2, and in this third one we're going to make 1 double crochet and another double crochet in that same one. 1, 2, then 2 double crochets. One, two double crochets. And that's how this is gonna look like. I'm doing around this piece once or twice. Like if you are making, let's say you want to make an extra large and XXL and you need a little more width, you can keep making these rows here in the middle, and maybe alternating with the white with this looks nice as well. And just keep going until you have the width that you need, okay? So all I'm doing now is just repeating for both sides this row here. So now after you finished both sides here, I'm going to bind off the stitches on the bottom. So make a knot to secure this last stitch. Then I'm going to be making a double crochet in this first stitch here. And then chain one, and I'm going to single crochet this way, okay? And then single crochet in that one again. And then just single crochet in each one of the stitches here on the bottom. Just make sure you pull this way to not twist the stitch. And then repeat this around the entire bottom of the piece. Here on the sides you just make single crochets here, okay? And then I'm going to finish here on the bottom with this same finishing here, with the same edge that I made on the other side. It's exactly the same stitch really we were using on the sides. I'm just going to start here in this first corner facing the right side of my work always, and then with a crochet knot and a slip stitch, and then chain two and make one extra stitch right next to it. And then I'm going to skip I'm going to chain one actually, skip 2 stitches and then make 2 double crochets in the very next stitch. Chain one, skip 2 underneath and then double crochet 2. Here you can choose any edging you prefer, and if you want to make a few extra rows, if you decided to make a little longer and you change your mind, you can always make a few more rows in crochet just to make it longer. Okay, so this is the edging I'm going to be making all around to the other side, and then I'm going to join after this the 2 sides together, okay? And then if you made this side opening here, that's right in the middle of the work, what I'm going to do here is chain one, and then single crochet here, going all the way. Right, so 1 single crochet in each single crochet here. All the way to the other side, and then right on the top here just chain 2, make another double crochet, and then keep making that same stitching we were making before. Okay, so after I finish this bottom piece here, I'm going to start working and joining both parts together. So make sure you put them on the right position, both shoulders to the top. I sometimes make this mistake, guys. I join the wrong sides together. So I'm going to make from this chain here 1, 2, 3 chains. And then I'm going to get the other side here, and I'm going to slip stitch in this corner stitch here. slip stitch right there. And then I'm going to go up 2 stitches by making single crochets all the way to the middle here. And then from here, just to start this better on the beginning, I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to make that same stitching. I'm going to double crochet in this middle chain here, 2, and then chain 1. Then I'm going to join here on this side, either with slip stitch or a single crochet like I did. And then I'm going to chain 1, 2, 3, and then straight to the other side in this next chain space here on the other side. And then 1, 2, 3. If you wanna just seam this, you can seam it. There's a lot of other options to join. I wanted to make this stitching because I saw in another image online and I thought it was nice. So you're gonna chain 3 and always single crochet in the very next chain space on the other side. Okay, and this is how it's going to look like in the middle. I think for a beach cover-up, it's actually really nice. So I'm going to do this all the way to the front. And on the front, you can either join the front as well, or you can make the front open, like if this was like a beach cardigan or something like that, a summer cardigan or something like that, okay? So I'll finish that and then I'll come back to show you how it looks like after it's ready. And there you go, guys. This is our pattern for this tutorial, this beach cover-up. You can also add a chain arch here and just make a tie string on the front if you want as well. Here's the back detail of it. I love this, the way it's joined here. It's really nice. It looks really nice. Okay, so this size is probably a large, okay, for me a medium. I'm going to calculate all the sizes in this pattern so you guys can download on the link down in the description below. And I want to thank you so much for watching this tutorial and watching all my videos. Thank you all for subscribing to my channel and thank you for being here. Bye.